Back now at 8:21, and it was a 24-hour roller coaster ride for TikTok and millions of its users this weekend. You probably saw this message when you opened the app saying the law banning TikTok has been enacted. The app briefly went dark after the Supreme Court held up the law banning the app from the U.S., but the app is back up and running, at least for now. Our 90s legal expert Whitney Traylor is here to talk a little bit more about what happened and what the future may hold for the popular video sharing app. Whitney, good morning.
Good morning to you.
I don't even know where we begin with all of this.
No, I know. So talk a little bit about, we all know that TikTok went dark for a little while. Did it have to go offline or not really?
I don't know. I don't think it really did. I mean, a lot of people are saying that this was a tactic and it was to try and get attention or whatever, but technically the law went into effect on the 19th, but President Biden said he wasn't going to enforce it. He was going to leave it up to the new administration. The new administration is saying, hey, we want to delay it. So I don't think it actually had to go dark. And there's a lot of talk about whether or not either Trump or Biden was going to enforce it. So no, I don't think it did. And then, of course, it popped back up hours later.
We were still on the air actually Friday when the Supreme Court came down with their ruling that they were going to uphold this ban. Did that have anything to do with the fact of what we saw Saturday night? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the ban went into effect when the Supreme Court ruled on that. Then it became effective as of the 19th. But then, of course, the question is about enforcement. And so if the presidents, Biden and Trump, are saying, well, we're not going to enforce it, then there's a question. But the problem was the penalties associated with it. So they could be charged $5,000 per user. So that was Google, Apple, all of those were also concerned. So I thought there would be something where Google and Apple weren't doing the software updates, and so it would eventually go out. So I was actually really surprised when it went dark, and then I was not necessarily surprised when it came right back up.
Well, it's really interesting because this kind of all started when Trump was in office the first time, citing national security concerns.
Yes.
And now Trump seems to be a big part of keeping TikTok going.
Right.
But what's the national security concerns now?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and that is a complete flip-flop. And actually, the Supreme Court deferred to the legislature and said, hey, that the national security is a greater risk than any kind of First Amendment argument. That was what really the Supreme Court relied on, was that argument. And so now a lot of folks are saying there's still the national security risk, and it was twofold. They were arguing that, one, China's sending us these covert messages, and then two, that they're mining or gathering our private personal data. And I think that's not really a question in terms of the data. So that national security risk is still there. Now, politically, President Trump will have some bargaining as he's threatening to do the tariffs on the Chinese imports. And so with that, that's where we thought there'd be some leverage and some give and take. And so this has now become political, even though the law is in place. But the question is, if the Trump administration says we're not going to enforce it, will Google and Apple and TikTok and all these take the risk of maintaining it, saying, well, they said they're not going to enforce it. But if they do actually enforce it, like I said, the penalties are quite significant.
Well, and at least for now, what we know is being reported that he's going to delay it 90 days before that ban would take effect potentially. Whitney, we appreciate you coming in and breaking this down.
Sure, good to be here.
A complicated story right there.
Big time, yes.